So now that you have downloaded the ISO image, verified it, and probably also created the pen drive, it's time to install Linux on your system. So if you're planning to install Linux directly, then you can skip this video. Otherwise, if you just want to first get comfortable with Linux, it's a good idea that you install it in a virtual box or virtual environment. So basically, in this manner, we will be able to run the complete operating system on your host operating system or the primary operating system. So VirtualBox allows us to install that whole operating system and use it effectively. So for that purpose, first of all, you will have to download VirtualBox. So you can just go to the VirtualBox website and download the required version and install it. This is also under the GNU license, so you can use it without any issues. So just download it and install it on your machine. So once you have downloaded it, start the VirtualBox. I have already installed it on my machine. VirtualBox, fine. So here, this is the VirtualBox which is installed. Your interface could be different based on the version that you are using. So what we are going to do first, so VirtualBox, let's try to understand, is a mechanism where we will be installing our operating system within another operating system, right? So VirtualBox first of all will allow us to create a machine, suitable machine, a virtual machine. Just like you go to the market and buy some hardware, laptop or any computer, that machine that you get is where you will be installing your operating system. So consider VirtualBox as your marketplace where you are going to first create the machine, fine, or get the machine ready. After that machine is ready, then only we are going to install the operating system on that. So in this video, we are just going to quickly see how to create that machine. So once you have installed VirtualBox, you can click here to add a new machine over here. One is already existing on my this thing. A machine is created with the operating system already into that. So you can either click here or you can click on new, or you can say create a new machine over here, fine. So let's start creating a new machine for us in which we are going to install our required operating system, fine. So we create a new machine. Now here you will be giving some name to your machine to identify the machine, fine. Again, reminder, this is not installing the operating system, this is creating the machine. So we'll call it demo system. Now it will ask you where your virtual machine should be installed. So I have already set a location somewhere. Create a separate directory where you want the virtual machine to be created, fine. So uh, if you're going to create multiple virtual machines, then it's a good idea to have a separate directory. So set it up from this is a quite generic thing anyone can do. Just click on this and you can set it to others and set the location, fine. Now here the interesting aspect is that VirtualBox allows you to select a predefined setup for your system. So if you want a virtual machine for Windows, Linux, Solaris or any other operating system, you can just select it from here. So like if I select Linux, what it does is it will try to give me a base machine which is suitable for Linux, fine. So here there are different Linux distributions that are shown over here, and I can select one of the distributions which I can use. So you can select any of the distributions. So I'm simply going to select others Linux 64-bit. If you're going to install uh, Ubuntu or Debian or Fedora, you can select them accordingly. But I'm trying to make a generic machine over here. You can select Fedora, Ubuntu, Red Hat as per your requirement. Fine. When I select this, it is allocating me some RAM. Now I have to set the amount of RAM that is required in this particular virtual machine. So it is set to 4 MB, fine, which is quite less. So we are going to increase, not 4 MB, sorry, this is a lower limit. It is set to 512 MB. On my machine, the physical RAM, the actual machine which I'm using is having 16 GB of RAM, which you can see over here. So I'm going to allocate around half of the RAM, as it is that much of RAM is never used. So dependent upon how much RAM you have on your actual machine, allocate some RAM. At least 4 GB would be required for the virtual machine to run properly. And I'm assuming these days most of us have around 8 GB of RAM. So I'm going to set 8192, that's around 8 GB of RAM over here. That has been set. So this is something like adding memory to your machine. I have added that much of RAM. Now create a virtual hard disk now. So we will create a virtual hard disk. Fine. Uh, Later on when you will be working, you can decide not to create a hard drive. Like you buy a machine without a hard drive, and you may be having a hard drive at your place and you want to add it, or use a existing virtual hard drives. Once you have created multiple machines, you could use a existing virtual hard drive which is just lying there, so you could do that. So some one hard drive is there which it shows, but we'll create a new one over here. Okay, so next we're going to click on create, and here it shows me the location where the hard drive will be stored. And you can see the name of the hard drive is going to be demo system. Then what should be the file size for this particular hard drive? So it is showing here 8 GB. I'm going to convert this to 20 GB. Fine. Now that means my machine is going to have a 20 GB, or let's make it around 25 GB of space. Now on my actual machine I have a 512 GB hard drive and I have some 100 GB free. So I am assigning this 25 GB space to be used as a virtual hard drive. So you can say I have added a hard drive which will be 25 GB on this virtual machine. Now there are different type of hard drives that can be used, but for the timing we'll simply stick to this default one, which is VDI. And the storage on physical hard drive, we will keep it as dynamically allocated. The advantage of this is that the virtual machine is not going to use total 25 GB of space immediately. As and when required, the file size will increase, or the file size might decrease if I remove some packages or something like that. So that virtual hard drive is not going to immediately take up 25 GB of space, but the max hard drive size would be 25 GB. So that's this one advantage we can get from this dynamically allocated one. Fine. Now let's create our machine over here, and you can see our machine is created and is ready. Now this is what we are going to use for further installation of our operating system. Okay, so in the next video we are going to see how we will be installing the operating system. Fine. So that's it in this video.